Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I am Vivian Picard, a media past president of the Black Women's Agenda. And on behalf of our president, Guinevere Hutchins Hess, welcome to the Black Women's Agenda. I am the change. It's a step-by-step guide to entrepreneur economic empowerment webinar series that's sponsored by our longtime supporter, the Coca-Cola Company. The Black Women's Agenda, or BWA as we are better known, was founded in 1977 to highlight and address those issues that are unique to Black women and our families. Currently, celebrating 47 years, the Black Women's Agenda continues to work tirelessly to serve millions of women, of Black women, in the areas of education, health, and economic empowerment, working with and through our 24 collaborative organizations. Our programs have national recognition and global impact. So now let's begin tonight's exciting program. Tonight's program is extra special. It's a pleasure for me to introduce a very dynamic panel of entrepreneurs, and we have a very special treat for you tonight. For the first time, we have a panel featuring a mother and daughter, and my mother and son, two very significant entrepreneurs, all in one family. And tonight will actually be their first time speaking together. So we have a lot of excitement for you. Julian Frederick is actually the son. He is an award-winning teen entrepreneur, best-selling author. See him here on the screen. Best-selling author and sought-after keynote speaker. Believe it or not, he looks 10, right? But he's really 16. His leadership and innovation has gained international recognition. And some of you may have seen him on some of our morning television programs, but he'll get into that a little bit later. As the co-founder and CEO of the Stool Chef, Julian has built a business that empowers kids to develop leadership skills and confidence through cooking. His innovative products and educational content are both sold across the United States and internationally, including at Amazon. Let me also add that, again, he may look 10, but Julian is actually 16. And now, beside Julian, we have his mother, Toria. Toria Frederick is a nationally recognized leader in strategic growth, innovation, and entrepreneurship. As the CEO and chief strategist at Hatch Venture Group, Toria has spent nearly 2 decades working with Fortune 100 companies, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations. She has been instrumental in launching over $750 million, $750 million in new products and ventures. Toria currently serves as the International Program Committee Chairperson for the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. And we know she's been busy with taking care of a big issue that we all have going on right now. So again, thank you for all you're doing around that issue that we will not talk about tonight. Lastly, she is an advocate for kid entrepreneurship. She co-founded the Stool Chef alongside her son, Julian. I welcome both of you to the visual stage. Can we get just a wave, please? Thanks, Julian. Thanks, Toria. And tonight we're going to pivot to a new format tonight, a little bit different than what we've done in the previous webinars. Starting fresh or pivoting to a new phase, Entrepreneurship in Every Stage. And we'll begin tonight with Julian first, and then we'll have Toria present. And I'll come back with Q&As after both Julian and Toria speaks. So let's start out by having Julian start our exciting program. Julian?
Hi, all right. First of all, I would like to thank everybody for having me here. I'm just super excited to be sharing more of my experience. So, I'm Julian. As she mentioned, I'm 16 years old, and while I might be young, I have a lot of experience and I've been blessed with a lot of opportunities that I would love to share with you guys today. So, here today, I'm speaking about my experience pivoting as a teen entrepreneur. So, before I get started, I want to talk a little bit more about what the Step Stool Chef is and give you guys some background on that. So, the Step Stool Chef is all about empowering kids to be leaders through cooking. That's the name of the game. My belief is that cooking is a great way for kids to build leadership skills and on empowerment skills that'll last them a lifetime. So, that's what the Step Stool Chef is all about. The story of the Step Stool Chef actually got started on my third birthday when I got completely snowed in. And so I had to cancel all my birthday party plans because the roads were too icy for people to drive. So instead of sulking about it, I would make the best use of my time by making my own birthday cake. And so I got on my step stool, hence the name of the business, Step Stool Chef, and I got to work. And I asked my mom to do this completely on my own. Thankfully, she agreed because I felt super empowered and super inspired when I got to see the finished product and knew that I did this all by myself. And so that feeling that you in that picture right there is what founded the Step Stool Chef. And that's why I want to spread the message of building kid empowerment through cooking. So, what the Step Stool Chef does is we make learning how to cook fun and easy for kids as well as empowering through our products, programs, and partnerships. So, speaking of products, the products that I offer are on demand are cooking kits for kids. Step Stool Chef cooking kits for kids are these think of HelloFresh or Amazon or Blue Apron, those subscription box kits except completely oriented around kids and teaching kids independence. So, what each product has is it has all the tools and ingredients that a kid needs to make a recipe from start to finish with little to no help from an adult. That's the whole thing about independence. Step-by-step instructions just to make this super easy and fun. So you can find those on my website, stepstoolchef.com, and I also launched them on Amazon, which I'll get to in a bit. Then I also offer programs such as my Step Stool Chef Academy, an after school and culinary program that's all about teaching kids the different skills they need to get started in the kitchen. So I've been able to launch this an academy program as well as offering on-demand classes on my website also. Then lastly, partnerships is something I'm super proud of because I've had the opportunity to partner with like a wide variety of multiple different organizations, nonprofit and corporate. And so I partnered with people like the Jack and Jill of America, Yahoo, Mott's, and so just a wide variety of different organizations and companies, all based around either culinary experiences or kid-based leadership. So, through this and the Step Stool Chef message, I've been able to be featured on many different notable and national media channels and outlets, such as ABC, Fox, and most recently, I got to appear on Good Morning America, where I got to cook with Michael Strahan and talk more about my business. And so, along the journey, I've learned a few things. One, Step Stool Chef is incredibly different because Step Stool Chef has something that I think no other business does and no other business really offers because the Step Stool Chef has a kids teaching kids approach. This approach to cooking is really the deal breaker because all of our products are made for kids by kids. And so through that, we get to have like the lens of what is really empowering and teaching, make what really makes learning how to cook easy and fun for kids, as well as we get to have that kind of inspirational push where kids see another young person cooking and they think, man, I can do that, because that's really what drove me to get to cook in the first place. I saw my parents, I was like, I can do that. And so we're trying to have that same kind of feeling with other kids by having a kids teaching kids approach. Secondly, we also have a focus on kids' independence. As I mentioned with the cooking kids, all of them are designed to make learning how to cook fun and independent so the kid can cook along their own with little to no help from an adult. And then lastly, we have a kids boss philosophy where here at the Step Stool Chef, kids the chefs and parents and the assistants. With that thought in mind, I always make sure to give kids opportunities to step up in the kitchen. And so along the way, Step Stool Chef has gone many different avenues that I'd like to talk about. Firstly, Step Stool Chef didn't even start out as a business. It started out as a blog. It was a mommy and me blog that I got to do with my mom, family bonding experience where I would get in the kitchen, get on my step stool, hence the name, and we would post recipes and videos, and while spreading our message about learning how to cook fun and empowering for kids. And so along this way, we also launched a cooking academy. So I offered the on-demand videos for kids who didn't know where to get started when learning how to cook. And so it offered just a beginner's course in the different tools and tricks that you would need to learn how to cook. Eventually, this landed us with some pretty amazing opportunities, such as TV, speaking, and public appearances, where I got to just have the opportunity to really just reach out more and get more attention about what the Step Stool Chef is, what we do, and why it's important to get kids in the kitchen. And so this was going all well and dandy up until the point when my website and my blog got hacked. And so all of the recipes and all of the videos that I'd posted on that website had all been just poof, gone almost in an instant. And so that was really a huge like wall in my journey, basically, that was kind of impeding the Step Stool Chef from progressing because everything we had was online. And without the website, I was thinking the Step Stool Chef had to stop and completely shut down. But I really loved what Step Stool Chef was and believed in the message of kids teaching kids and teaching kids to be more independent, that we decided to reorient the Step Stool Chef and pivot. So we thought that since our website was down, the best way we could reach out to people were in person. So we thought we could reformat the Step Stool Chef Learning Academy culinary curriculum and relaunch that as a program for non-school for homeschooling organizations as well as after school programs, right? And so this was going super fun. We were investing a bunch of time and money into this amazing opportunity that we had. And we signed up to go to a homeschooling conference that was local to us. And what happened was COVID hit the very second day of the conference. And so we had spent all this time, effort, and money getting ourselves ready to launch as a culinary curriculum program. And that would be the way the Step Stool Chef, explodes and becomes the next big thing. But then good old COVID happened, and that again shut everything down. Another opportunity, another example of a barrier in the journey that we were going through. Another opportunity, another example of when I thought the Step Stool Chef was going to shut down. But then again, I really loved the Step Stool Chef. I loved that the Step Stool Chef integrated my passion for cooking and my curiosity of becoming an entrepreneur. And so I wanted to do this to continue. COVID would not be the end of this. We decided to pivot once again, and we started this licensing deal with a food tech company where we would launch on an app so that we could reach out to more people. They had an international audience. And so we were thinking that this would be the next big thing. But then we ran into issues of scale. We didn't actually see the scale that we'd anticipated, even after spending all this effort and time and money into another opportunity that just kind of got wasted. And so, right here, the Step Stool Chef had the most critical moment that it's ever had. And so me and my mom, we sat down and we had this idea and discussion about what the Step Stool Chef still is. Since we're not a blog anymore, we're no longer blog oriented, and we were no longer culinary, we're no longer homeschool and after school program oriented. What would Step Stool Chef be? And so that's where we thought, okay, we still love Step Stool Chef, but it might not be those things. And that was when the third pivot happened. And I feel like that was probably the most impactful pivot that we might have seen, because we started going for the big idea things. Okay. The Step Stool Chef launched on Amazon so we can get that national coverage and got to be able to launch our product on a national scale. He also started doing more corporate partnerships as well as more after school programs, reaching out to after school programs particularly to be able to still use the curriculum that we had made with the planning to do for the homeschool organizations before COVID happened. And so we got to kind of realize the true potential of what Step Stool Chef was, and we got to explore all these different avenues, eventually finding that the best way to see what the Step Stool Chef truly can be at its highest was through all these different avenues, and that gained us a lot of coverage. I was able to do international coverage through Good Morning America, my appearance with Michael Strahan, as well as appearing on BBC Radio. So what have I learned along this way? What I've learned are three main things, okay? One, a great idea doesn't always mean it's going to run smoothly. Like I showed you, I love Step Stool Chef, and I thought it was a great idea. Kids teaching kids, that's so new. No one's ever heard of a kids teaching kids business where you teach your kid to cook. But just because it was a great idea doesn't mean that the path we ran was going to run smoothly, because there's always going to be surprises. There's always going to be something that changes your perception or just changes the path. And so that leads to the second thing that I learned. The mission is more important than the method. When I say there's surprises that changes your path, we really have to change the path of Step Stool Chef, because we wanted to do all these different things that didn't work out. It was a huge disappointment, but we still kept going because the mission, the Step Stool Chef mission, was more important than the way we shared that mission. And so eventually we found a way to share that mission that was completely different than we could have envisioned 5, 7 years ago. And so that is something that I have really taken to heart, that as long as you keep your mission at the core, then it doesn't really necessarily matter the method that you explore. That kind of rhymes. Hey. All right. And then the third thing that I learned is to work to make your past self proud of you. When my website got hacked and when COVID happened, there's two opportunities when I thought Step Stool Chef was just going to be done. But then again, I thought of telling 7-year-old me, just starting the blog, stepstoolchef.com, and I imagined telling little old Julian that Step Stool Chef just didn't work out and we had to shut everything down. And, it was a big bummer. But I remember imagining the disappointment on 7-year-old me's face because of the hope that I had when I was 7 of seeing the Step Stool Chef become a great big thing. And I remember the kind of inspiration I first felt when starting the business. And so that was a huge motivator for me to be able to keep myself pushing forward. And I really want to work to make the past self proud of me so I can tell my 7-year-old me that, we did it. We made something amazing. And so those are my three pieces of advice that I've learned through my experience as a teen entrepreneur. So thank you guys for listening to me. I just really appreciate you guys and everyone tuning in. And if you want to connect with the Step Stool Chef and really want to support my business, the best three things that you can do is follow me on social media on @StepStoolChef on all handles, on Instagram especially. You can also visit the website stepstoolchef.com, where I offer the cooking kits as well as an on-demand culinary academy. Third thing you can do is really just help me get connected with more corporate partnerships and after-school programs, as well as grants, because those are the biggest avenues that we're exploring now as after all those pivots. And so if anyone has any opportunities that they would like to present the Step Stool Chef, please feel free to contact us. As you can see, you can find my email at contact@stepsoulchef.com. And again, thank you everybody for listening to me. I was just super excited to share my experience and spread my advice for anybody who's having those kind of who's having those times when they might need to pivot as well. So just thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Julian, you are amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Um, I want to know if you have an adult version of that cooking class. I didn't do so well with my mother teaching, so maybe I need to go back and have your class.
I
So I'm
mean,
going
hey,
to go and look on your website and see what I can do.
I mean,
But we
hey,
do have a few questions.
yes, go ahead.
Um, how in the heck do you juggle going to school and being a major entrepreneur?
Oh man, that is, let me tell you, it's not easy, okay? Because there's so many different kind of different examples in the past where I've had to kind of sacrifice something and in my personal life to be an entrepreneur. And so there's been times when I'm running late to school because I just appear on ABC News, right? There's been times in which I've had to spend my spring and summer, my spring breaks, my fall breaks, trying to launch products. In fact, that's what we were spending fall break for doing. I was trying to launch a new product for Stool Chef. And so there's just been times in which balancing has never been easy. Thankfully, I have a loving and supporting mother by my side and a family that really supports me. My sister, in fact, is a big part of the business, and she also was the one who launched one of our cooking kits for kids. So the few of the things that have been supporting me is my mom as my partner, my co-founder, and my family. So those are the few things that I've been able to do to really help with the balance.
Great. Um, Julian, does your program have a healthy eating component to it? We know that's a big issue with our young people right now. So is there a healthy eating component to it?
Yes, in fact, they do. Speaking of our, really speaking about our cooking kits, all of the cooking kits that we feature are all vegetarian and they have vegan accessible options. So that we kind of kept health in mind and while we were making these, and we want kids to be able to make things by themselves that were not just easy to make, but also healthy and good for them to eat. Because if you look on cooking kits that aren't ours, what you see for kids are you see either pizza, you see cupcakes, you
Mm.
see a lunch of sweet treats that, is fun and awesome, but it's not the best thing for kids to know how to make. If that's the only recipe that you know how to make, you don't know how to cook. These recipes are kind of oriented around not only teaching you how to cook, but teaching you how to cook good food and teaching you how to cook what's going to be good for your body.
What have you learned as an entrepreneur that's going to benefit you, obviously, when you're in college? And also, how do you plan to juggle college and entrepreneurship as well? Your mother, your parents may not be right there every day. So how do you plan to handle that? And I'm
Well,
assuming you're going to continue your business, correct?
yeah. So considering the first question you asked, how Stool Chef has affected me, especially as I'm growing older, it has really done a lot to change my like kind of self-confidence and
Mm.
my speaking abilities. I've really learned to kind of grow into myself, be more confident when speaking to people, especially adults, and kind of just believe in myself. Because if I believe in myself, then the sky's the limit. That's what everyone says. And so I've really taken it to heart through the Stool Chef. As far as the future of the business, what I really envision is a way to kind of take it past myself because I'm not always going to be the Stool Chef. I don't even need a step stool anymore because I'm 16. So again, when I say the mission matters more than the method, I want to take the Stool Chef a little bit past myself and elevate it to a level that is something that I couldn't do it alone. And so what I want to see is for the future, maybe a potential licensing deal that I can get that will allow the Stool Chef method, I mean, the Stool Chef message to still be spread while I'm in college and being able to look at what new opportunities present through my college experience.
Julian, you are amazing. Speaking like a true entrepreneur, a true CEO.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if we have more questions, we'll come back. We do have a few more, but we're going to move to Toria right now so that we can get her on, and we'll come back to you if we have some additional questions, which I see we have more in the chat box already. But we'll come back to you, okay? But speaking like a true entrepreneur and true CEO.
Thank
And
you.
for the audience, he did not get these questions ahead of time. So again, they're really speaking like a true entrepreneur. So now, Toria, we're going to move to you now. And after that, we'll come back and have Q&As with both of you. Thanks again, Julian.
No problem.
Hello, everyone. This is so exciting for me. I am truly proud of my son. This was a joy. As part of being an entrepreneur, I'm also a mompreneur, so I get a chance to see my son in action and see that how he's been able to navigate a lot of the pitfalls and pivots that happens with any organization. And so, so I want to talk a little bit more about, not only have we helped the Steps to Chef be able to pivot, but also how I help other organizations in that same place. So what I wanted to do is to leave you all today with a few nuggets and a few tools in your toolbox as you as entrepreneurs anticipating how you want to navigate very similarly as Julian has. So I'll continue on. So again, my name is Toria Frederick. I am the CEO and Chief Strategist of Hatch Venture Group. So in addition to being the co-founder of the Steps to Chef, I do have my own company called Hatch Venture Group. I actually started my career at GE, where I learned how to be Six Sigma certified. I am a Six Sigma certified black belt, where I've learned all about how to do processes and procedures and to make things as efficient as it can be. From there, of course, I went on after getting my MBA at Michigan Business School. I went on to PepsiCo, where I was a marketing executive, and I learned design thinking and how to put consumers in the middle of everything that you do and everything that you launch. And I got really, really good at coming up with new ways to solve old problems. And so what I did is I took that combination of design thinking and Six Sigma certification and efficiency, and thinking about how to help people solve problems in new and in innovative ways. And I developed Hatch Venture Group. And so that's my company here. And so not only do I get a chance to do some amazing things with amazing organizations through Hatch Venture Group, I'm also, as mentioned before, a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, where I serve as the International Program Committee Chairman. And we both are members of Jack and Jill, where I serve on the executive board of our local chapter. And so I get a chance to work and create this mindset of how do we continue to grow and think differently, and helping different organizations grow and think differently through that. And so essentially what I do with Hatch Venture Group is I help companies hatch new ventures. Essentially what that means is that anytime a company is doing something that they've never done before, or they've done it, they just want to look at new ways of doing it, I work with them on how to develop, define, build, and grow new ideas, strategies, and solutions, all designed around creating those new growth opportunities. And so as a specific area, my expertise really is all about transforming uncertainty into clarity at every strategic pivot. So just as what you heard from Julian, trying to figure out those moments of uncertainty and those moments of, is this it? Is this the end for me? I was able to, leverage some of that same thinking and really truly execute it in multiple businesses and multiple fronts, and specifically working in the area of strategy and growth road mapping. Like what is it that I want to do next? What is my vision for the future? And what's the map to get there? And that translates a lot of times in things like annual strategic planning and workshops, as well as innovation strategy and new concept development. So anytime a company is trying to develop a new concept that is never done before, What does that look like? And then last but not least, strategic storytelling and corporate visioning and brand clarity. And I've had the privilege of working with so many different organizations, including the Steps to Chef, but everyone from corporations to nonprofit organizations to small businesses. And what I really love to do is to kind of support organizations, no matter what phase or stage that it's in, to do those never been done before solutions, or to figure out how to navigate its way out of and when they're kind of those kind of chaos to clarity moments, right? And so the reason why, I love doing what I do is because a lot of times people are, to move from those uncertain moments to those moments of certainty, it requires a lot of change, right? And there's a couple of key reasons why it's difficult for organizations or people to change. One, our brains are hardwired to make assumptions. Just as, Julian talked about earlier, just as I've made this, a lot of other organizations, you think you're on one path and you make a lot of assumptions based off of your knowledge around those assumptions. And if you are anchored around those assumptions, then you're going to continue to build your business around assumptions that may not even be relevant anymore, right? So what if we assumed that Steps to Chef was going to be a blog and that's all that it was meant to be, right? And so you will limit your ability to make change based off of those assumptions. We're emotional beings, right? We make decisions a lot of times based off of emotions, and how do we, continue to build and look beyond those emotions are a big part of that challenge. We're also rewarded for being right. Taking risk is very difficult. And we lived in a society where it's a school or our work where you get reward, you get the A for the right answer. And sometimes the right answer isn't always us doing what you've always done. And you have to make some risk in order to get to those right answers. And last but not least, you're afraid to kill the company. You're afraid to take those risks. You're afraid to make those changes because what if I make this change and then it explodes and it comes in front of you? So what we try to do is to help those business leaders deal with all of those challenges, be it from time scarcity or feeling overwhelmed. You have missed opportunities or unclear business direction and unclear focus. You have those unexpected disruptions of failures, or you're under leveraging your strengths. These are all challenges in the face of change that every business leader, be if you work for a corporation or if you're an entrepreneur, that you face. And so what do you do in those moments, right? What do you do when you're navigating change and you're navigating those pitfalls and you're trying to figure out how to pivot and you're dealing with these challenges? Well, there's 3 steps I encourage everyone to consider. One, you need to look at your now, right? You need to deal with the disruption. You need to figure out how to stabilize the disruption that's right in front of you. Then you look at what's next. You define your path forward. You figure out how to re-energize your business. And then next, you figure out how to thrive, right? You get to your new normal, right? How do you drive the change? How do you move from stabilize to energize to thrive, right? So within those next 3 steps, you want to look at what's now. When you're looking at now, you want to think about your critical mindset shifts that needs to happen for recentering when those disruptions happen, right? So if you're a corporation, the first thing, the mindset that you need to be thinking about, if you're a leader within a corporation, you need to be thinking like an entrepreneur. That's the first thing you need to think about, right? How do you, and this is something I do with all of my corporate clients, is help them think more like a startup, help them think about how they can be more entrepreneurial in their thinking. What does that mean? That means having that lean startup mentality, right? How do you, of course, you may have all these resources available to you, but how do you think lean and fast? How do you view your competitors as collaborators, right? How do you, what we call Gitmo? I got that from my husband, and some of you may have heard of this term, but it's called good enough to move on. Sometimes when you're a corporation, you want to iterate and reiterate till it's perfect, but sometimes you got to think Gitmo, right? Is it good enough to move on? Next, you want to embrace that startup work culture. How do you encourage people to say it's okay to fail and to learn from those failures? And also, how do you get outside perspectives that's valuable? And that's a lot of what I bring to the table, is that outside perspective. So how do you continue to think that way? And if you're an entrepreneur or a nonprofit, how do you think like a corporation? That's another shift that you have to think about, right? How do you own your brand story? How do you create systems and processes and procedures? How do you recognize that the future is here For all of you that are hesitating when it comes to certain technology or even AI, the future is here. How do you bring that into your practice in a meaningful way? And how do you make planning and strategic clarity a norm? A lot of what you heard Julian say, we go through strategic planning sessions every year for the business. And that's how we were able to navigate those pivots and navigate those challenges through our strategic planning sessions that we're having. And so that's a norm in our business. And that's the norm that I bring to a lot of my clients. How do you make that a norm? And of course, how do you audit your products and services? See if those services and products make sense for what you're trying to move forward to do. When you're looking at your next, you have to look at what you want to preserve or pivot, right? And so why, when you look at your first thing, you want to think about why your business exists, right? What's the purpose and values? Just like Julian said, right? What is your mission? Because that's something you want to preserve. That is it. As Julian said, the mission is more important than your method. So you want to always make sure you preserve your why when you're thinking about what's next for your business. But in your how is, your process, your unique approach, right? That's something that you can evaluate. You don't necessarily have to always stick to how you go about doing things, exactly as it was brought up earlier. You want to reevaluate if that is something that you can do. And your what, right? The products, the services you offer, as long as you are true to your mission, as mentioned earlier, your methods can change, and that's what you can change. You can pivot your products. You can pivot what you offer, your services, as long as it's staying core to your mission, right? And so now that you looked at what's next. Now, how do you look at the new? What's the future looking like for you, right? And here, that's when you have to plan for the future. You really have to think about, how do I not just see what happens or go with the flow? You have to plan, because the reality of it is the best way to predict the future is to create it. And how I encourage everyone to do that is to embed strategic planning in your DNA. I am a huge advocate of strategic planning. Basically, what strategic planning is that it helps build resilience and confidence and growth. So if you're not taking the time out to work in your business, right, and creating a deliberate and specific way and working on your business and not just in your business, it's a time where you can step away and provide clarity and prioritize for your business. I always say sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. And strategic planning is those moments where you have to slow down so you can think about what's new for your business. And so when you're thinking about strategic planning, it really is 3 specific things. One, you're answering 3 questions. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? And how will you get there, right? That is essentially, when you talk about, there's so many different methods and so many different solutions and frameworks to do that. But at the end of the day, a strategic plan is answering those 3 things. So if you're doing a strategic plan, make sure that you are answering those 3 things. And so if you need help, I'm so passionate about strategic planning. I do this so much for my corporations. This is a huge part of corporate DNA. They take the time out to answer these questions for their business, right? And so I am a big proponent of, as entrepreneurs, I'm on a mission to take that same level of expertise and the same level of insight that corporations use all the time to help them get to their next level, that I'm now offering that same level of corporate expertise to small businesses. In fact, I recently just launched a program called Hatch Venture Group Growth Lab, which is a 6-week cohort-based strategic planning program where I help companies get, and small businesses specifically, and entrepreneurs get the strategic clarity and the growth that they're looking for when they're navigating those pivots, when they're navigating those pitfalls, when they're looking for those moments of clarity, when they're trying to figure out what's next and new for my business. And I can't stress enough how this is something I provide one-on-one, and now I'm providing it now with cohort companies, and so with a cohort base. And so with Growth Lab, it is a strategic planning intensive. You get small group cohorts, there are accountability sessions, and you get a custom growth roadmap that saves you time and focus. It helps you increase your revenue. And of course, it gives you confidence in knowing that you know exactly what you need to do to navigate those pitfalls and those challenges. And so I'm very proud of this new endeavor. And if you are all interested in working with me, learning more about how I work with small businesses and entrepreneurs, there's two opportunities. One, you can sign up for upcoming strategic planning one-on-one session, which is a 90-minute session that I'm holding next month that will allow for you to understand what those tools are, understand what those frameworks are to help you develop that. And then if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can join our January cohort, which is starting the week of January 5th, which also includes consulting, one-on-one consulting session, as well as the cohort work. If you want to go deeper and get that specific tailored growth map and this expert support that you're looking for. And so this is something that I'm very proud of. I love working with small businesses because there's passion there. As you heard Julian say, there's passion in what you do. You're proud. You want to make your former self proud of you. And so I love helping small businesses navigate those pitfalls and those sessions. So if you're interested in connecting with me and you want to go hatch something, here's my website. You can contact me at hatchventuregroup.com. You can book a 15-minute meet and greet at hatchventuregroup.setmore.com, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn.
Great. Toria, thank you so much for all of this good information. This is helpful. I don't care what stage of your business, but one quick question. How does a small entrepreneur even realize that he or she really needs Hatch Venture Group? Give us some indicators as to what might be going on in our business where we decide, okay, I think I need Hatch to come in and help.
Absolutely. So there are three types of entrepreneur roadblocks that I find usually when they're feeling like they don't know what's next or they don't know how to pursue what's next, right? So there's three stages I say. One is you're wandering in the wilderness. The wandering in the wilderness is when you are just kind of not sure what's next. You're trying a little bit of this and you're trying a little bit of that, but you're not quite sure what to do next. The next one is I call the visionary vortex. These are my big thinkers, right? Sometimes they're they're in the visionary vortex is the ones that has all the ideas. They have this big vision. They have this big goal. They thinking and they're always reiterating. They're always thinking of new ideas, but they hadn't landed and they haven't made one idea land just yet, right? And so that's what I call those is in the visionary vortex. They just spinning their wheels because before they can execute this one idea, then it came up with another idea. And so they're just kind of spinning in this vortex of all of these visions and ideas, right? And the next is what I call the grinding gridlock. A lot of us entrepreneurs know that, right? They grinding, they hustling, they working hard. They looking like they doing something every day, but when they look back and they look up, they haven't made the progress that they really want to make in their business. And so if you find yourself is in a visionary vortex, if you're in a grinding gridlock, or if you are kind of wandering in the wilderness, those are kind of the three key areas. And the reality of it is if you haven't really mapped out your growth for the next 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years, that's when you will need a Hatch Venture Group. If you don't know who your high growth customers are, that's when you will need a Hatch Venture Group. If you really are stuck in this place of lack of clarity, that's when you will need a Hatch Venture Group.
Toria, Julian, thank you so much. We have a couple of more questions, but I think you've answered those during your presentations. But we thank you for participating on this webinar tonight. You have been amazing. And thank you for providing the information in terms of where we can, individuals that are on the call, if they're interested in following up, they can follow up with you. And for those of you on the call, if you have problems following up, then of course, contact us at BWA. We can make sure that you get to both Julian and to Toria. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. And now we're going to move to our second panel. Thanks again. I'm going to give you applause. Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And best of luck to
Thank
both
you.
of you. I don't think I need to say that because it's already going great, but best of luck. And we look forward to keeping up with you and really witnessing all the greatness that's really coming your way. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so
again.
much.
Thank you. And BWA will be shouting for you. Okay. Thank you. And now we're going to move to our next panel. I'm going to introduce our instructor, and after his panel discussion, we will have additional Q&As. Our instructor, Martin Booker, brings a wealth of knowledge and experience, as well as expertise in financial education, where he successfully led various financial initiatives for AARP. His focus on investing, Social Security, retirement planning, budgeting, and more significantly contributed to the organization's mission of serving its membership base. And that's hundreds and hundreds and millions and millions and millions of members. Martin completed the Certified Financial Planning Program at Georgetown University, equipping him with the skills to teach others about money in a practical and actionable manner. He served as the instructor for our previous 3-part economic empowerment webinar series, and we were so pleased and honored to have him until we thought it was appropriate to bring him back. So again, please welcome Martin Booker.
Vivian,
Martin.
thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that introduction. And I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be, that was a fantastic conversation with our panelists. And, I'm just so excited to continue this conversation and to just talk about entrepreneurship, talk about the journey of entrepreneurship and, the many things that there are to learn about, the journey of just pivoting or starting as a brand new entrepreneur. It's such a great journey. It's such a beautiful journey. And I'm excited to, just kind of reiterate or talk about some of the things that we've heard from Julian and Toria today. So they've set the stage in a beautiful way in giving us the real life examples of what happens in the entrepreneurship journey. And now I'm going to talk about some of the things that you may want to know, some of the things that you want to make sure that you are familiar with or that you're thinking about as you go on that journey yourself. So thank you for that introduction, Vivian. It was so great to hear from our panelists. And so let's start talking about this process. So just to start, as a part of AARP Foundation, I just want to mention that the information that I'm sharing is for informational purposes only. This is not legal or financial advice. So if you need legal or financial advice, you want to talk to a professional, someone who can sit down and really understand your journey, because that personal journey is going to be, in fact, very personal. You want to talk to someone who knows your story, who understands your methods, why you're pivoting, and all those things, so that they can give you the best strategy for you and you only, right? So you do want to have that conversation. So throughout this discussion tonight, which I won't be long because I want to make sure that we have time for questions. We have time to really get through this and have a good discussion. So I'm going to talk about a few things. What does it look like to take the leap? Why would you take the leap? I want to make sure that we talk that part through. And then we're going to talk about just what does it look like to start fresh? What are some of the types of entrepreneurship that are out there? What would you do? What are some of the options of what you can do so that you can really think this through? I want to just expand your thinking around the entrepreneurship journey and what this might look like. Because we usually all know one way, or we think about one specific way of being an entrepreneur, but there are so many that I want to make sure that we really talk it through. So we're going to take this journey together and talk it out. Then I want to talk about some of the ways to start a business. We all think maybe, I'm going to use some of my own money. I'm going to take a loan. I'm going to use OPP, other people's finances, right? OPF. Right. But there's so many other things that we can do in this case. So I want to talk through that. And then I'm going to tell you a great story of what it looks like to pivot And then I want to make sure that I share some resources that are available to you as you think about starting your business or moving into this entrepreneurial journey. So let's start with why. Why do people take this leap? What is the idea when someone thinks, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur? What are some of the main things that come to mind? So first, there's always the idea of just pure independence. There's just pure independence. So it's the idea that I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I'm going to become an entrepreneur because I'm sorry, just give me 1 quick second. Yep. So it's this idea that I'm going to become an entrepreneur because I just want true flexibility. And I want to make sure that I am, this is the lifestyle that I need. In some cases, you need to become an entrepreneur. So you need to go through the experience of running a business and truly leading that business yourself. So you decide that, hey, this is how I have to do it. Give me 1 quick second. I want to make sure that I get this right for you all. So just bear with me. Just bear with me as we get through the tech. This is a world that we're all familiar with. It's just the simple tech issues that happen. Just give me 1 second. All righty. All right. So let's talk this through. So, all right. So when we talk about the importance of why we take the leap. So when we think about why we're doing this, what the reasons that we decide to become an entrepreneur. And I see your questions rolling in. I want to encourage you to continue to ask your questions through the Q&A. Because we're gonna answer them all tonight. So this idea that, hey, my lifestyle is why I have to become an entrepreneur. I need freedom. I need flexibility. Like you need to be able to just live a different life. Your personal life or your family calls for you to become an entrepreneur because the 9-to-5 lifestyle just might not work for you anymore, right? Based on the lifestyle that you're living and the way that things are set up for you, you have to make some changes. So you can't be an entrepreneur in the traditional sense, which is perfectly fine. So if that's the case, then you may decide to dive into entrepreneurship for that reason. Another is you decide that you want to pursue a passion or a purpose. You figured out, this is my purpose in life. This is something that I love to do, and I'd rather only do this. This is how I want to make money. This is how I want to live my life. That is perfectly fine if that's what you decide, right? So you decide that, hey, entrepreneurship will allow you to pursue things that are truly aligned with your interests, your values, and just creating a more fulfilling career. You may have spent years making great money, but then you've decided that, hey, beyond just the dollars that I'm making, I want to truly love what I do. I want to work for a company that believes in the things that I believe in. And if that's the case, you may move into entrepreneurship for that reason. The other may be corporate frustration or the glass ceiling. A lot of us have been there. A lot of us have seen this life, right? You're in that position where working for a big corporation or being a part of a specific company, it's one that, you become frustrated with it. It is not easy. It's not a space where you decide that you can thrive. Or you no longer want to thrive in that space. The lack of growth opportunities, the restrictive environment, the barriers for you to advance in your career, these are all things that have held you back. So you've decided that, hey, I want to try something different. The other reason is you may have found a market need, right? You may work for that big company and you may see that, this is a space where there's opportunity for me to start a business and actually lead a business. It may not be something that you love to do. It may not be something that ultimately that you want to do long term, but you found a need and you decided I'm going to go fill that need. And I know that I could possibly make a lot of money doing it, or I'm going to solve a problem in this world, right? Which leads right into our next one. You see an opportunity, you see a need, and I'm going to fill a gap so I can start a business doing so. And in that case, you may do it because you plan on doing it for a short period of time. You're gonna solve a problem, meet that market gap, and then you may decide that you want to sell that business, which we're going to talk about later. But the idea of meeting a need or seeing an emerging opportunity and fulfilling it is perfectly fine. But that may be the reason why you decide, hey, I'm going out on my own because I know that I can be successful here. The next one could be solving a problem or social impact. You know that there is something out there that you want to address. There's something on your heart a problem that you want to solve. There's a solution that you know about that you want to, dive into, and you say, hey, I can make money doing this, but also I want to address this need. It may not just be about the dollars. You may just want to solve a huge problem and create an opportunity, or even do a little bit of both. You want to make some money, but also have a social impact with it. There are a lot of companies that do that. They give a certain amount away. They serve their community in a big way by way of the earnings that they make from their business. And that may be a thing for you. You may decide that, hey, this is important. I want to take care of it. So I'm going to start a business because of it. Lastly, you may pivot out of necessity. You may have had job loss. There may have been layoffs. You're in a position where I cannot, the opportunities that are in front of me, or the job that I currently work is no longer conducive for my lifestyle. So you have to make a change. So you decide to pivot out of necessity. You decide that I have to make a change immediately, right? Economic downturn may have completely eliminated or reduced the market that you work in. And if that's the case, then you decide that, hey, I have to start something else. So you may look into your hobbies and turn that into a full-time business. You may determine that some of the other skill sets that you have could lead you into a full-time business. Or kind of like Toria talked about earlier, like, she found a skill set in a way that her son's business was able to pivot and found a market and a service that she could also offer to others. So that's a successful way of building a business as well. So let's talk about some different types of entrepreneurs, because you're thinking about it, based on the last reason. You're like, hey, I have to make a pivot. I'm going to make a change, or I'm at the point of leaving school, and I want to decide that, hey, I'm going into entrepreneurship. Well, most of us think about entrepreneurship in very specific ways, but I want to have us think about it in all the different ways that there are out there. So in one case, I may decide that I'm going to be a small business entrepreneur. So in this case, I may want to open a locally owned shop. I want to start just a service that helps individuals in my area, which is perfectly fine. And your goal is to focus on a sustainable business that may serve a local community. It may expand to a regional community, but your goal isn't necessarily to scale, which in this case, if you're doing a small business entrepreneur, you may be the owner the entire time. The owner usually manages the business, focus on something local. You're not necessarily looking for extended, or you're not intending to extend your business or scale at a rapid pace. Then there are people who decide that I want to do a scalable startup. So the entire idea is that I'm beginning at the very beginning of starting my business. I know that I want rapid growth, and I might want to sell this business, or I'm going to seek outside funding because we need to move fast. You have an amazing idea, and you know that we have to build quick. We have to make sure that we control our intellectual property and all these other things, because we have to move quick and we have to scale in a big way. If that's the case, then you're thinking about a scalable startup. And then you may have something that's going to disrupt an entire industry. But if I start this, I cannot move at a slow pace. We have to scale fast because we're looking for national or possibly global reach in this case. So this is usually our tech startups. Some of our big companies, they're doing this. They're thinking about innovation. They're looking at venture capitalists to be a part of that business, and they're looking for exponential growth. The next one is a large company entrepreneur. So we want to create the big companies, the huge, the names that we know now, right? The large companies that are here, they're acquiring other companies in some cases, because we have a product or a service, or we're building other companies so that we can remain competitive, right? So we are looking to take over a market, own a market in a big way, and we want to scale because of that. So when you think of some of the biggest name companies that this is what they're doing. They're making sure that they're setting themselves up to scale and grow in a big way. So they want to think about, how do we innovate, but innovate over time. They're thinking about research and development teams so that they are consistently growing and building their market, right? So they have to think about what's next, where do we head next, those types of things. Those are very important steps for these individuals. They're also thinking about, they're thinking way down the line as far as like, where do we head? Where's the industry going? Is this an industry that can continue to grow and be a large industry for us? These things are very important for someone who's a large company entrepreneur. Then there's also social entrepreneurs. So these are individuals that want to solve a social issue, an environmental issue, or you're thinking about communities, a specific community, and you want to solve problems in that community. If that's the case, then you may be more of a social entrepreneur in that case. So then next there's the serial entrepreneur. If you've missed parts of this series, last week we had a serial entrepreneur on who talked about their experience of being a serial entrepreneur and the multiple businesses that they've started and how they've grown businesses to significant spaces and then sold the businesses and moved on to the next. So you may be someone who, you decide that, hey, I want to start this. I'm not necessarily going to stay with it. I'm probably going to sell it and move to the next thing because you're thinking of something different consistently. That's perfectly fine to be in that space where I want to be an entrepreneur in this space, but you have multiple interests or you have multiple big ideas and you can execute on all of them. So you build one, sell it, or build one, allow someone else to run it, and then you move to the next one. That's the opportunities for the serial entrepreneur. After the serial entrepreneur, we have lifestyle entrepreneurs. So these are people that create businesses that are aligned with their personal interests. You love fashion, you decide that you want to create a business that focuses on fashion and provides you a sustainable income to do what you want to do every day, what you love doing. You love interior design, you decide that, hey, I want to, work in that space. I want to, design beautiful spaces. You may want to do it commercially. You may want to do it residentially, right? You may want to do it for fix and flips and just, do it and then be done. You may want to design backdrops and things like that, or exhibits in or activations at events, right? But you want to use what you love doing and things that you enjoy to just, create a sustainable income and then and a good work-life balance. And the last one, which I've always found interesting, was cooperative entrepreneurship. So this is the idea that, hey, we don't have to do this alone. We can do this as a community. So we're going to find a group of people and we'll start a business together. We'll own and operate it together because it can mutually benefit all of us, right? We want to put our collective brain trust together to create a business that's going to work in all of our favors. So that's that idea of cooperative entrepreneurship in that case. So that's another style. So with looking at all of these, I want you to think about yourself. Think about what you want to do, your ambitions. What are some of the, your capacity, your executive functioning, right? All of these things will matter. Like you want to think about where can I be successful and work in that space. That's where you can start and just know you can start in one of these and you can lead into another one over time. So you don't have to necessarily just be in one of these spaces at any given time. All right, so we're going to quickly get through this, thinking about how do we start these businesses? What are some of the ways that we do that? So one of the things I want us to think about is, if we're starting a business, we may decide that we want to bootstrap our business. So we want to start from scratch. We're in a position where it's, hey, this is my business. I'm starting from the very beginning of owning my business, and I'm just going to build my business from the ground up. Original idea, original business plan, and my brand. And I'm going to take it one step at a time. I may not take out any loans. I want to just build it slowly and I want it to grow as I continue to make profit. That's perfectly fine when you're in a position of starting from scratch. The other thing that we can decide to do is we may want to decide that we want to buy an existing business. And this is also called acquisitions. I'm going to acquire a currently running business. It could be a small business. It could be a large business. So there are different types of ways that you can manage acquisitions. One of the things that I've been one of the things that I've been told is that, it's one thing to start a business and start your cash flow. It's another thing to buy your cash flow. And so, and they both come with different pros and cons. But the idea that a business is already running and it's already profitable, and you decide to buy it and just continue to operate that business, you could scale it, you could grow it, you can improve it, but you're starting with a business that's already running. And so you could find someone that's in the process of looking to sell their business, and you decide that, hey, this is the business that I want to take on so that I can, and that's my way into entrepreneurship. You buy it, you continue to run it, and you allow it to continue to grow and improve with you now being the leader. Another option is franchising. So with franchising, you have the opportunity to acquire the rights to operate a business. So this can be a current franchise that will allow you to buy into their company. You get the brand name, you get the system, and you decide that, hey, I want to franchise this business. So one of the things that helps with that is that it's usually a proven business model. You're going into a company that has recognition, they have support, they've already proven their business model, and now you step in, you buy it, and you start to lead it. Now, with some of the challenges in that case, that you may have limited creative control, right? They have a system, but you'd love to just go into a system and take it over. That company's also going to still want royalties as a part of you franchising their business. So these are some of the things to think about when it comes to franchising a business. And then there's also licensing. We actually heard Julian mention this. He said, hey, he'd love to start this company and possibly license it. So you create a product, you have a service, and now you want to sell it and just collect royalties yourself. So the idea of building something that's sustainable, that someone else could come in and possibly take over and run, and you just collect the funds from that business. You collect the royalty for that business running. So, these are some of the things that you want to think about when you decide to start a business. What's your end goal? You begin with the end in mind. Do I want to start and build it myself? Would I prefer to buy some cash flow? Do I want to buy into a system and run that system? Or do I want to create a business and then pass on the system for someone else to run? Is that a possibility? And then the other one is side businesses and freelancing. While you're running your business, you may decide that, hey, I want to actually freelance or become, I want to start running my business based on my own skill set or some things that I'm good at. You start that. One of the good things about that is that you can start to, you may have a full-time job or a part-time job, and you're using that to start your business. I mean, you're using the funds from that business to start your business, but you're also using that to cover your expenses while you learn and while you test out a market, right? So you're not in a position where every dollar you make from your business is a necessity. So you may be able to test some things out and just freelance in a way, or just start your side business so that you can test your model, perfect your model before deciding, hey, it's time for me to go off on my own. Right. So this is another thought on the ways that you can start a business. So these are a couple of different ways that you can do this. So, think about it. If you haven't started yet, even if you've already started, you may decide you want to pivot into something else. You may have started from scratch, but then you decide that, you know what, I'm really good at this, but I'd be even better if I was to buy into another business and use some of the funds that I've created, that I've saved, find the right opportunity to be able to buy into another business and accelerate what you're already doing. You may have great ideas. You may have some great ideas to build and grow another business. And in that case, you can take advantage of that as well. So I'm going to tell a quick story about a really strong pivot that I've seen. So this is this company called Impact U. So with Impact U, this is a company that they actually started out in a very similar way to what I just mentioned, right? Freelancing and just freelancing and kind of side hustle, right? And just trying to build the business model, figure out what would I be good at. And I just want to mention, if you've missed a few of our sessions, I highlighted a different entrepreneurship story last week, which was Ruby Sampson. And these are all Black women-owned businesses that I've been highlighting, just to make sure that we're showing love to the Black women-owned businesses that are launching and that are doing the very things that we're talking about. So Impact U is a Black woman-owned business. This is from a lady who did work in the corporate DEI and comms space. Right. And after working in that space for a while, ended up having being laid off in a position, which led to just this the process of having to accelerate this idea of being an entrepreneur. Right. So after some freelancing and side hustling and doing some work, decided that, hey, I have to take this to the next level. We got to expand and grow what's happening. And what we talked about, some of the whys of why people start a business. Sometimes it's out of necessity. So, right, bills still have to be paid. So started a business. So continue to prime the pump. And, that's one of the benefits of starting a side hustle or freelancing, is this idea that you've already been doing some of this. So you have some momentum. Even if it's slow momentum, you've been kind of working in this space. And so you've tested a few things. So if you had to accelerate, you're in a position where you're not starting from zero. You may be starting from 3, you may be starting from 6, but you're not starting from 0. You're in a position where you can start to build and grow based on what you've done. So at that point, after losing a job, decided that, hey, I have to now increase and grow my business in a way to continue to live a lifestyle and just continue to take care of self, right? So, and even if you're in a position where you're still applying for jobs, you're just in a position where you also have an opportunity to be an entrepreneur. And you started as a dualpreneur with a full-time job and an entrepreneur, and now you may be a full-time entrepreneur, but so you start to accelerate just a bit. So in this case, after losing a job in August of this year, took the opportunity to just continue to build and grow as a consultant, took advantage of the opportunities in the state where she lived to learn and grow and network in spaces to build a business. And after 3 years, this month, through contracts and through some of the other work, is probably having one of the most lucrative months that she's had, not just as an entrepreneur, but even in when she was working full time. Has made more than she did as a full-time employee in this case. And it doesn't always happen that way, right? So I don't want to paint the picture as everyone who becomes an entrepreneur or who gets laid off has the best, it doesn't always work out to be the best, but that priming the pump, continuing to work at it, working out of necessity, and being strategic in what you decide to take and what you decide to do next. Networking, right? Working with other entrepreneurs has been a way that's been really successful. And just a couple of other things that I've seen in that case, in some cases, the subcontracting under other entrepreneurs that have already been successful and who are already building their business. That's one of those models where it's like, hey, you don't have to get everything yourself. You don't have to have 100% of all the business. Sometimes you have to work with others because you get an opportunity to learn. You get an opportunity to grow and see how other people are working. Partnership is some of the while it can be frustrating, it's one of the best ways to take on something and have someone that can back you up and who can be there for you throughout your entrepreneurial journey. So take advantage of those opportunities to learn from others, to work with others, to subcontract under people until you get the contracts for yourself. Right? These are all ways to grow your business and to expand your business and to sometimes get business faster and prove yourself. A lot of times subcontracting can lead to your own contracts because people get an opportunity to see you and see that you're a proven entrepreneur that they really enjoy working with. So that's another way to expand your business. So go check out Impact You now, learn about the strategy and storytelling that they do through that business. Now I want to go through a couple of resources as we start to close out. So what I have here, so when we look at these resources, some of these resources are for starting a business, some are for funding your business, and others are for acquiring other businesses. So when we look at all the ones that have 2 stars beside them, these are ones that work for acquisitions or startups. So when we look at companies like Score, which is a company that focuses on It's a company that focuses on mentorship from retired executives. So you have executives that have run some of the top companies in the country, and they're willing to come back and mentor you on starting your business or running your business or growing your business. And then you have ones like the Veterans Business Outreach Center that focuses on helping veterans to continue to grow their businesses. We have the Minority Business Development Agency. Small Business Administration is always a great resource for buying or acquiring businesses. And these are all different ways that we can grow our businesses or think about starting our businesses. The search funds organizations, they focus specifically on helping you find funds or think about funds for buying currently running businesses. So these are just some different resources that will help you. These will all be on the website. They'll be on the Black Women's Agenda website. They'll also be on YouTube. So if you go back and watch this, or if you share this with others, you want to make sure that you let them know about these resources. Tell them to look at the resources and look into all of them, and make sure that they're listening to the stories. And if they want to see the other parts of this 4-part series, they can go back and watch all of them. They will be on the website, and they will be up on the Black Women's Agenda website, as well as YouTube, for your viewing pleasure and for you to share with others. And with that, Vivian, I'm going to turn it back to you so that we can talk about any questions that we have and close it out for tonight.
Great. Martin, thank you so much. Lots of great information there. Let's add one more to that resource group. Ron Busby would kill us if we didn't have the U.S. Black Chamber on there. So let's add that one.
That's a good.
He would kill us. And the National Business League as well.
Definitely.
Let's add the National Business League and the U.S. Black Chamber to our resource group.
Thank you for shouting those out.
Yeah, but thank you so much. And your categories of entrepreneurship was very interesting. And one that was very interesting to me was the cooperative one. Let's talk about that a little bit and tell us a little bit about that and the benefits as well as the issues with going into kind of a cooperative type
Business.
Of business. Yes.
Vivian, I'm glad that you brought that one up, because that's one, there's two things that have been the most interesting to me this year. And the two things that have excited me the most this year, and that's been acquisitions and cooperative entrepreneurship ventures. And I'll tell you what's been most exciting about them. It's with acquisitions, this whole idea of buying cash flow and this opportunity to run a business that's already making money, right? And then I get to walk in and just possibly improve on it because they have a model that's been working and that's already profitable. That's exciting, right? It's like, if I wanted if I saw that there was an area with very few laundromats, it's like I could go in and I could start from the ground and take out a loan and get the capital to get the building and buy all of the supplies and build it myself. Or I could look at the one that's already there and think, if I buy this and it's already profitable, how could I expand on it? How could I add more units in there? How could I make it more profitable and then get another one? But I'm not starting from zero, or I'm not starting from scratch, which, for folks who want to start from scratch because you have a way of doing it differently and making it a new and exciting thing, go for it. That's always beneficial as well. But this idea of being able to also just buy an existing business that has a process, has a procedure, has employees, that could be exciting as well because it's already profitable. Now, with that, there comes other challenges, right? There's already processes, there's already employees, there's already systems. You got to come in, and sometimes everybody's a little resistant to change. So you have to think about things like that. Now, that was just a quick plug for what the first thing that's been exciting me this year. The other thing you mentioned is the cooperative entrepreneurship journey. So what I really like about that journey is this idea that I'm not in it alone, right? Some of the best things for us is thought partnership. It's partnership in general. Having someone else there who we can bounce off of on our good days and our bad days. Someone who can come in with a collective thought process, or they also have funds as well, hopefully, right? And they may be able to come in, or they may have funds, they may be able to help you think through something, or they have a different skill set than you. or more experience in a different area or in the same area. And y'all together can decide that, hey, we want to start this business and we want to build this business together. It could be two of you, it could be six people, right? But this idea that we do it as a unit is going to allow us to grow and to build in a different way. So that, and while this works as entrepreneurs, it also works as an investor as well, right? So there's opportunities where individuals are coming together as a collective to buy a percentage of a business, or they're coming together as a collective to, put their capital up and then decide that, hey, we're buying this business and then we're going to run it together, right? Or we put our capital up and we have one specific person who wants to be an entrepreneur and has that entrepreneurial spirit, and we're going to allow them to run it, but we do it as a group. This is collective responsibility. This is our opportunity to do things not alone, right? It also it takes the risk down just a bit as well, right? So it's just like if we diversify our investments, we want to diversify our opportunities as well. Because if I go in with 5 people, then I take on a 20% stake. If I go in by myself, it's 100. And sometimes with 5 people and 20% stake, we can grow exponentially, as opposed to if I go in by myself at 100% stake and I have to grow a little slower because it's just me. So, that collective entrepreneurship is an interesting, or cooperative entrepreneurship is an interesting idea.
Fantastic. And you, of course, identified a number of resources, but I just want to add that for anyone interested in entrepreneurship, there's all kind of programs out there, and also look into venture capitalist funds as well. I serve on the board of the Community Transformation Fund out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and they have a very interesting concept, and that is Grand Rapids as a city. They realize that if they don't bring in more entrepreneurships of color, that entrepreneurs of color, that the city is going to not be what they would like for it to be in the next 5 to 10 years. So they have actually started a fund to encourage businesses of color to come to the area, either start a new business there or bring your business as a subsidiary, because
Wow.
they realize they really need to get minority businesses in the city. But I think if you have a good idea, as Martin said, if you have a good idea, there are resources out there that are available for you.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any more questions? I don't see any in chat. Martin, did you have any others?
No, I did see one that mentioned, and Vivian, feel free to, you could even help me answer this one. Someone asked, how do you navigate entrepreneurship with family and everyday life? So when we think about juggling all of the many things that comes with entrepreneurship while trying to have a family and think about all that's going on in your life, that's the question. I'm happy to start, or would you like to start?
I'm going to let you start, and I will add to it.
Yeah, add to, okay, awesome.
Mhm.
So with that one, so that's when I think about entrepreneurship and like family, everyday life. I mean, it's a big one, and it's an important one. I think that in part, it's one of the things to think about is the type of business that you want to start, right? And what time do you have, right? What availability is there for you to actually lead a business, to run a business, because that's going to be really important. I'll say for anyone who's starting a business if you have a family, if your schedule is extremely busy, then one of the things to think about is, how am I going to go about leading this? Do you have an idea or a really lucrative service or product that you're going to offer? And in that case, think about how available you are to be a part of that. Or do you have to, get this thing going and actually bring someone else in to run it? We see a lot of businesses where there's a CEO and a president, right? Because you can't do it alone. Or they have someone who's running it day to day while you're kind of you're the person who founded the business, but you actually have a CEO there to actually run it. So one of the things to think about is, um, what type of business do you have to run? What's your plan within the business? What role do you have to play? And if you're able to start, if you're starting a bigger business, then you may be in a position where you're not the person that's going to run it day to day, or you may play one specific role so that you can make sure that you don't have to be there the entire time. But this processes, you want to think about some of the processes you can put in place to automate your business, especially if you're a small business. What can you put in place to remove yourself? I think a lot of times we think that we have to be at the front of our business, or we have to be the face of our business. And you don't always have to be that. You could be the one, you could have the product and no one can know who you are. And you have someone else out there doing all the hustling and all the building so that you can be in a space where you're making money, but you're not working as hard as someone else in your business.
Great. Well, a couple of things, both as an investor and as a business owner, but as an investor, be careful as to who you're investing in. And the thing is, as a entrepreneur, if you really take individuals' funds, money, investment dollars, make sure that you do what you say you're going to do, and that you're going to work as hard as you possibly can. Because when people invest their money in your business, that may not be the last time you need investors. So do not just take it on initially, and with the understanding that it's not always glamorous. It's not always 9 to 5. It's sometimes 20 hours a day. It can be 20 hours a day. But just know that when you take on an investor's money, that you're in it for the long run, and to really make sure that you're giving that person the best return on his or her money that you possibly can. And then when it comes to family and business, I have found that in watching small businesses, and especially family-owned businesses, it's always great to let your children go out into the business world and learn from that world and come back and work for you, because it teaches them discipline, all of the things that they're not always going to listen to you as the owner. They will listen to it, or once they go out into the real corporate world and work for individuals that are not related, they come in with a different sense of entrepreneurship and discipline. There are some questions that have come into the chat. Are these resources nationwide or state specific? I think most of them are nationwide, especially if you're in major cities. You
Yes.
will find the resources that
Yep.
are identified.
Yep, I actually did put nationwide resources, but some of them do have state-specific chapters. So if you look these up, you'll be able to figure out, you'll be able to find their state-specific chapters.
Okay, and then you can also go onto some of these national websites, and they will refer you back to your local communities as well.
Yes.
And Martin, we have another one here. What are your thoughts on a MLM?
Yep. Happy to answer that. So MLM is, and this will be our final question as we wrap up tonight. So MLM is multi-level marketing. So it's an opportunity where individuals will usually buy into a company, and so it's an already established company, and the plan in that company is that you're bringing individuals into the company under you, and you're usually working it in two ways. You're trying to sell a product or a service, and the other side of it is that you're trying to bring more individuals under you to sell that product or service as a part of your team, and you're a part of a team in selling it. So it becomes this if you think of it like a pyramid, it's someone at the top, and then there's two more people, and then they have people under them and people under them. So everyone has a team underneath of them to sell this product or service. The more people that you get and the more product and service that they sell, the more successful you are. But the question is, what is the product and what is the service? So if you have a product or service that people actually want to buy into, then it's possible that you could be successful. but you're only as successful as what you sell and what the people underneath of you continue to sell. So that's kind of how it's set up. It's usually a lot of hard work. You have to buy into it. And in some cases, depending on what the MLM, what the service or product is, some are easier, some are harder to sell or to pitch, but you typically kind of work in this community style way to do so. I always tell people for multi-level marketing, because I work for AARP, so I can't give my personal opinions. I do have to kind of just speak to this in a informative way. It's information purposes only, right? So if you're thinking about multi-level marketing, there's a couple of questions that I always want someone to ask themselves when you're thinking about going into this venture. One, so you heard about the other ventures that we mentioned: entrepreneurship, investing, ways to be an entrepreneur. With multi-level marketing, the question is this something that you actually believe in, or a product that you want to sell? Another question is, are you getting into this because it's an out of necessity, or are you getting into it because out of a passion or purpose or love for what you're doing? I always ask about necessity, because starting a business because you need money is one of the most dangerous times to start a business, because the money does not come when you start the business in most cases, right? That's the same as investing in stocks or investing in anything else because you need money. The whole premise of investing or starting anything is it's a medium to long-term opportunity. So you want to be able to, if you need money tomorrow, go and take a part-time job or take on a gig, right? Because that's something that will pay you for the time that you have right now. When you're starting something, you want to be in a mindset of, this may not be lucrative for a period of time, so I need to take my time. Or if I'm making an investment, this may not be lucrative for a significant period of time. So, ask yourself, do I need the money right now? Is that why I'm getting into this multi-level marketing opportunity? So think about that. Am I passionate? Do I really believe in this product? Do I need money right now? If those are the reasons that you're looking to start that multi-level marketing opportunity, then it's a good time to assess and decide, is this for me or is it not? There's a lot more to it. Research the company, understand what's available, talk to other individuals who've been in multi-level marketing, ones who've been successful and ones who've been unsuccessful, and have conversations to determine if this is really for you or not.
Martin, this information has been invaluable. You are the absolute best. Thank you so much. This has been a full evening of very informative information on entrepreneurship. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as Martin, Toria, and Julian. I know they have enjoyed presenting it. You could tell by the excitement in the voice of all three of them. So thank you all so much again. I have learned a lot, and I hope that our guests have learned a lot this evening as well. And unfortunately, tonight concludes our month-long webinar series with 4 webinars. We hope that you have been really inspired every week as much as you have been tonight. We have been so honored to share the information from all of our great panelists and speakers. And we look forward to hopefully next year coming back to you with more programs. We want to sincerely thank our great sponsors who believe in the work, the much needed work that we're doing, the Coca-Cola Company, and especially Coca-Cola and AARP, as well as all of the others that are included on our screen. The Black Women's Agenda, again, we are a collaborative organization of over 24 women's organizations, and we strive to present great information to our communities all over the country. Much, much needed information. And again, we hope you have enjoyed the evening. We look forward to another Zoom series next year. And again, I bid you good night and thank you, thank you, thank you. Good night.